now we are here with Victoria Burse. She is the author of Sabbath Songs. I can't say that too fast, too many times. Sabbath Songs. And, we just want to thank you for being here, first of all.
Thank you.
Live.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, I had an opportunity just to kind of take a look at, the cover of the book. And, I know we've been talking while, other things have been going on concerning the leadership perspective of ministry and what you see going on. Talk to us about, before we even get into the book, the aspect of just leadership itself. Give us a background of what you see leadership to be and what God is using you to bring to light to the church.
Absolutely. Well, let me say first that I know that I am not the same person that I was 20 years ago, and it is absolutely because of the training that I've had in the area of leadership, and that is spiritual training as well as in the corporate world. And it is just that some of those leadership characteristics like character and integrity and vision and staying focused and finishing a job, completing a thing.
Oh, that's a big one.
It is. It is. It's so crucial in every area of our life.
Yes.
So part of what I have a heart for in leadership is understanding, number one, I think that we can learn to lead. Some people say that, leaders are born, not made. I beg to differ with that just a little bit. And I believe that we can learn some of the characteristics that I just talked about. And we can change, and we can grow, and we can develop. And we shouldn't wait until we're in an appointed leadership role, maybe on our job like a supervisor or a place in ministry, to start learning those things. One of the things that I think I see far too often is I see people being placed in leadership roles, say for example a supervisor on a job, because of their skill. I have an IT background, so because I may be skilled so much in the area of Macintosh or Windows operating system, I'm now made a supervisor, I'm over people. Well, I may be very good at managing processes, but I have no people skills.
That's right.
I don't know how to build a team. I don't know how to inspire others to work together. And so people are hurt in the midst of that. And so as Christians, we are not to be about hurting people. We're about to be about helping people and helping people grow. So really, really have a heart for that.
It's wonderful. I mean, that's such a compact perspective, but the reality is that is the foundational aspect of what we all need to understand, whether you're secular, whether you're, in the church, is that these principles are God-given. And regardless of whether you're giving God the credit for it, because the secular does not, but the reality is that you're going to find the same things, and they should find the same things within it, or else people are, will get hurt.
Absolutely.
I like how you brought the fact of again, having those skill sets. What do you do, or what do you tell somebody to do in this aspect? Because you're dealing with getting things done. Whether you're in the church or whether you're in a corporate, a corporate setting, you got to get, the mission has to be fulfilled, right? And so in the midst of trying to get things done, you're dealing with people who have the skill sets to get the things done, but not necessarily the skill sets to actually manage the people and to love on the people, or to, nurture the people. So what do you do in the process of having those two things, the maturing of the people and also the getting the work done? How do you reconcile the two?
I think one of the first things that we have to understand is that as a leader, we are a servant, and one of our greatest roles and responsibilities when we're a leader is the development of the other people that we are responsible for. And so I often encourage even my staff on my daytime job not just to take, again, the technical classes, but we have to be well-rounded. My pastor taught us for years that your gift can take you somewhere that your character and integrity can't keep you. So all of that is so important in terms of being a well-rounded package. We have to learn that lifelong learning is important, whether it is through going through traditional education, whether it is reading. There's so much we have available on the internet now. There are so many wonderful leaders like John Maxwell and Andy Stanley when it comes to leadership, that have different conferences and workshops. So you have to avail yourself to that. And it really doesn't matter how old you are. I don't think there's a stopping point in terms of learning.
Yes, I totally have to agree with that. But I take a look at my husband and I talk about this all the time. There's so many people being pushed to the forefront that are not prepared to lead anyone.
Yes.
But they're pushed to the forefront in a position of leadership, you see people become overnight successes, stars overnight, and they have no idea that somebody's watching them. They are leading. They don't even realize they're leading a generation of people. And then they have a moment that everything crashes, and that generation of people goes with them.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think one of the things that you said that is so key is that somebody's watching you.
Yes.
And you're leading. The question can be, what direction are you leading
That's
of
right.
people
Everybody
in?
leads.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you are a parent in a home, you are leading your children.
Yes.
On the job, your supervisor, you are leading. Even if you're not in a supervisory role, I bet someone's there
Somebody's
watching.
watching.
Oh, yeah.
Even as women, you know, we watch each other
yes.
all the time.
Oh, yes.
But really, it's more than to see what we have on,
Yes.
more than to see how the shoes are. That's important now. But it's really,
Can't take that away now.
Can't take that away. But it's really so much more than that. And that's why the Titus 2 call to mentor for all women is so important, because women really watch you in the church, younger women watch to see how a matured Christian and how a mature, how she looks, how she dresses, what she says, is she serving? Is she active? They watch all the time.
And do her words match her actions?
Absolutely, yes.
So now, in the process of all this, how does God get you to this point of, Sabbath songs and putting that together for, for the masses?
Yes. Well, I would first say about Sabbath songs is that I never sat down to write a book. So there was a season in my life between 2005 and 2008 when God was really getting to the core of things that were going on inside of me. So to be very frank, I woke up at 38 years old one day and realized that even with the great job, the husband, all of those outer trappings, that I didn't love myself. And that manifested in my life through an addiction, but an addiction to people. And so it was as if I needed people around me constantly saying, God, you're nice, patting me on the back, affirming me constantly. And when I didn't have that, I could feel myself going on that, sometimes they call it like a slippery slope. I could feel myself, and the ups and downs just finally made me say, God, what is going on in my life? And that was the first thing that he revealed to me, that I didn't love who I was. And so Sabbath songs is really my journal, opened to not just God's people, but to anyone that would care to read and care for us to sit down and talk, just like we're doing today. And it talks about the need to love yourself so that you can properly love others around you, be they sisters, mothers, children, husbands. It talks about things like staying focused, talks about courage, and one of the favorite things that I talk about in here is waiting. And I have a piece in there called Lady in Waiting that's very dear to my heart. And that is when we're waiting. It may be for a husband, maybe to birth a ministry or a business, maybe to have a physical child. But we've been waiting, and it's been a while. And just how we handle that as mature women.
You said a word that caught my ear, because I journal. My husband and I both journal, and when I think of my journaling, it's very private to me. It's very close, and you've opened this for the world to see.
Yes.
And then you have to sit back and deal with the reaction of the world.
Yes.
No matter who they are.
Yes.
As you said, the book is for everyone.
Absolutely.
So how do you put yourself in the position to open yourself up to, this is my journal, now you take a read and let something in it help you?
Well, one of the first things I think that I came to realize is that while we are different and unique, in many ways we are not that different. And so if I woke up at 38 years old and realized this is where I was, I'm not the only person there. Someone else is there. And so I have such a heart really to work with ladies between like 29 and 45. There are so many mentoring programs out there for our youth. Sometimes I feel like we get them to a certain point, and then we say, okay, you all should be good now. Go ahead.
I like that. You should be just fine, girl. Come on.
But I felt like I can spend 2 hours a week or 3 hours a week, whatever it may be, talking to your daughter. But then she comes home.
Yes.
So I want her to be able to see, not just in me, but she can see in you too what God is doing. And so that was the first thing. Second thing, of course, one of the first things I had to do was to make sure my husband read through my journal.
Yes, indeed.
And, order is so important. I love him dearly, would never want to put anything out or before the public that would have him to be so uncomfortable or that he would be in disagreement with. So I made sure that he read through everything, and then I just knew. And even sometimes now I pick up Sabbath songs and I read through it, and it feels like I didn't write it. And of course, God will say, of course you didn't write it. I wrote it through you. That's why you can't pick up things and put them down anytime you want. It's a work that he does through us. And if you are willing and you allow him, he'll do it through anyone. God is no respecter of persons. And so
now, since you've actually put this on paper, what has that done for you personally, as far as whether it's relief, whether it's that feeling of accomplishment? Where has that put you?
Well, it's done all of the above. I remember the day that I made it home and the first copy was on my doorstep. I got out of the car and I saw the box, from a distance, and so then my palms got a little bit sweaty. But it was absolutely, the process was absolutely like giving birth. In fact, when I got very close to the end, it seemed like I couldn't get to the end. So I'm real big in terms of accountability. So I have certain people in my life that hold me accountable in certain areas. So I called up my girlfriend Valerie and I said, I need you to help me get this out. If I don't, I think I'll die. She didn't ask too many questions. She just said, what do you need? And so she helped me through that last 3-week period. When I put it in my hands, it was beautiful. But even more so when people began to pick it up and to read it and to tell me how much of a blessing it was to them, because that's all I ever really wanted it to be. I said, God, I just want it to be a blessing to someone. I want it to be like we're sitting down talking, having a cup of coffee or something, and just talking about some of those things.
Well, how can people get their hands on this book?
They can order this book through my website, which is Victoria Burse, and Burse is BURSE.com. They can also go through GraceandPeaceProductions.com, and they can order the website directly there. It's also available on Amazon.com.
Excellent. That is so awesome.
That is Sabbath Songs. And God, again, as I said at the beginning, God arrests other people. He captivates their lives, and then he begins to write through them, produce through them, do all kind of things for the good of his children. And sometimes we don't think of today as being Bible days, but the Bible is still being written. God is still using men and women of God to put to pen to paper to make sure that people understand who he is and what he's doing today. You might understand it as a preceding word, a word that God is just speaking to you right now. There's a vernacular, it's like if you're dealing with Jesus showing up right now, he's probably going to deal with more computers than he's going to deal with being fisherman. But the bottom line is that he is still relevant, amen, and he is doing his thing through people today, and we want you to know that he's doing it for you.